Test. All right. Hey, Chris. What's up, Phantom? Good to see you, man.
Your
I
repurposed
need to get
freighter
neutral
drifts through
games.
space.
Yeah, I'm good,
As
man.
you
How about you?
stare out at
I'm
the
doing all right.
star-flecked void,
One more
another
day of
ship
work.
comes in. Wait, is this sci-fi? I thought we agreed on a World War II campaign.
Too much.
Oh,
Lots
we?
going on.
That's cool. I can pivot. The smell of smoke
Lots of prep
curdles
for
in your
today. I mean, I got
nostrils.
the Academy game tomorrow night, and I got the 24-hour stream on Saturday, so all my
Alright, here's what we're
downtime is
doing.
kind
It's the
of
year
prepping.
3700. Humanity's elite fled to other planets long ago, taking
good,
with them
though.
all forms of advanced technology. Earth survivors scrape by with historic tools as weird phenomena plague abandoned nuclear sites. Witnesses report seeing glowing lights and the dead rising from their graves. And amidst the chaos, 3 strangers will meet in a dim bar. A veteran zombie slayer, a disgraced general out for revenge, and a space mercenary sent to investigate the power plants. Now describe your characters. How did you do that?
I'm doing
I
okay.
have the right
Things are
tools
good.
for the job.
I think this will be a fun discussion tonight. I think we're good. Things are looking up. Let's see. Long shot, what's up? Jeremy, Greg, Demonic. Hey. It's a Wednesday night, I think, right? Yeah. Jeremy, hope Tony's doing okay. Was an appendectomy quickly? Ugh. Goes Anna.
A story once spoken is ageless. The dungeon imagined without end. The curious are the ones most
Hey, Anna.
courageous.
Hello.
The tree that endures.
Let's see here.
has to bend.
There we go.
Finish up my shout outs
From
and we're good.
stillness, the mad mage is stirring. From countless
There we
voices,
go. So.
the castle takes shape.
week
Zage will
begins.
test the
Yeah.
enduring. Those unlucky will never escape.
Whew. Ah, 79 months. Woohoo! Nice. Yeah, all this is okay. Yeah, my mother had a call about it and had some issues with it. It was like 20 years ago. Oh, understood. Hey, Rick. Oh, Rick, I'm going to talk about your article with Gary. Gary says he's hopping on, so at some point.
Awesome.
So I'll save that one for when he comes on. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll save that one. Yeah, it's understandable. Let's see. I hate that I can't do a reply on it. It's weird. You can't do a reply on a posted, like, sub. Oh, that's why. Failed. Too much going on. Self-inflicted. Beginning of a new... Oh, Gary's coming on right now. Wow. All good, man. As long as you got the connectivity to it from the email, so. Alright, he is still joining. Let's be honest. Slow machine.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a while to get it. We have had people who've been stuck for
There he
a
is.
long time in them.
I was just connecting the audio. What's up, man? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see where the sound is after all the ad stuff's done. I think it's good. Hey, Bill. Yeah, fun discussion tonight. I don't think we've ever, like, pick any publication, periodical, and pull something from it. I don't think we've done one like this broad. So
Well, I didn't get to more than Dragon magazines, but I got to a bunch of them, so.
I was going to say, how do you see the format?
what's that, Gary?
How do you see the format?
Just an article that has GREYHAWK in it, and it could be from Dungeon, Dragon, Earth Journal, Visions, Living GREYHAWK Journal Gazette. You know, it could be anywhere, right? It could be from freaking your website. You know, something that's that really is unique and enhances GREYHAWK. I'm sure for me, I'm going to go to a lot of stuff. I'm going to go a couple classes, because it informed my game. But I got some really good ones, that I've used in actual campaigning, so it'll be fun. Anywhere, go anywhere with this.
Well, with your definition of fan and canon, I was trying to think last night. Could I have written the most GREYHAWK articles when I add all those up, or is it still maybe Gygax? I mean, I definitely don't think it's Sargent. He didn't write too many GREYHAWK articles for the zines, but
well, if you really want to get picky, you got to count all
contenders.
You got to count all of Leonard's Wizards 3 articles. I hate to say that, but he's got GREYHAWK in them, right?
Leonard's, or you mean Greenwood's?
I mean, Ed Greenwood's. Ed's has got the Wizard 3s in them, right? And it's got a GREYHAWK, but
That's right. But
yeah.
there weren't a ton of them though. I'd be surprised if there was a half dozen. But
right. No, I think there was like 10 actually. 10 or 11.
Is GREYHAWK Mike joining us?
Yes. Yeah, he always comes on like it's only 6:53, so he always comes on like almost right at 7. So thanks, Rascal. I think it just missed the hype, so it's all good. No big deal.
They're saying my volume's low.
Yeah, you can pump it up just a hair.
A little bit low, maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a couple adjustments here. But if you can pump it up just a little bit, your gain out, it should be good. Oh, thanks, Moose.
It's on.
That's
it's
good.
On automatic adjustment. Should I take it off automatic?
Yeah. That was good. That was good.
Okay.
And plus, we're not gonna have this music in the background coming up here, so. Thanks, all. Alright. Gonna come. We're like 7 minutes early, so we'll come live, and then let me go here because I forgot something again. I have to do something again. I forgot to update the shout out for tabletop events. All right, we're early, but that's okay.
You go a little robotic on me.
Okay.
Little robotic. I did.
Is there
It might be internet connection, might be a little bit iffy or something.
is there a delay?
No.
You sound good to me.
Sound good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sound good. So
'Cause I remember to listen through the Zoom and not through the
Oh
Twitch.
yeah, you
Yeah.
have to. Yeah. Mhm.
absolutely. And there's Mike. There's Mike. So
Mike.
good evening. All right, so we're going to do favorite periodical articles, which can be almost anything, but it's going to be a fun discussion. Got myself and Mike and Anna, and tonight Gary Hoyan's back. It's been a little while, but it's good to have Gary back on. So we're going to have some fun with this. But first things first, Sunday, July 6th. Yeah, of course. Why, Anna? It just must be. It's just this one. It's not my.
Okay.
It's not my Gavin one. It's just the Legends and Lore one. Always
Then you make sure you get the settings from
defaults
that
back
one into
to
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Defaults back to number 1 on that. All right, so registration will be open. Badges you can put in games immediately. Sunday, okay. Sunday, July 6th, we started off. Event registration doesn't begin until the end of August. So get your stuff in for Virtual GreyHawk 6. All right. And any work on the artwork?
Yeah, they will be done soon. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Very, very cool. So,
I'm experimenting a bit.
thoughts on the discussion tonight, Mike? I actually came up with this one. Not a rarity.
You mean this is not one of Mike's bottom barrel scrapers?
No, that's the usual fare we get here on Legends and Lore. But
No, it's a great idea.
yeah.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, you could even make it even more specific and run it a few times, but
We may, because there's no way we're going to get to everything that everyone wants to discuss.
I mean, we run the same topic 10 weeks in a row
Well,
until
that
we
would get
covered
redundant.
everything. Yep.
Yeah.
I bet we could.
But
Yeah,
we got a
nerdy
lot.
enough.
We got a lot more source material now, Mike, than if we did this 2 years ago. That's what's scary. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Got a lot more source material.
There's
So-
probably been more GREYHAWK created in the last 3 or 4 years than there had in the previous 10.
Mhm.
So
I agree 100% on that, Gary, and that's a great sign. Also, you got a lot. Thanks, Rock Frog. Almost got us there with that. Thank you. Giveaways. Let me set up the giveaways. I forgot. So, boom. And by the way, we're on our way. We had a lot of new followers in from some of a couple channels. Really pushed in a lot of their viewers. In particular D&D with D, and I really appreciate it. So we're almost to 13,000. All right. So you get your choice. If you have them both, then you get your choice of either the new Gazette tier or the old, the 1980 or the new 2025, and then your choice of here. How's this? Either Ghost Tower of Inverness or Tomb of the Lizard King. All right. Sound good? And I got other stuff if you have those. So hey, what's up, Tim? So what's going on, everyone? Hope you have fun with this discussion. Gary, thanks for joining us. So I know you just gave us your thoughts. Give us a little bit more on your thoughts on this. I know it's gonna gamut 45 years. So yeah.
I mean, has there been anything that's more, bang for the buck than the journal articles that have been published over all these years? I mean, for most of the time, the Dragon and Dungeon only cost like $3 to $5. And you would get amazing articles most of the time. And so I think it's almost something that's kind of missing from the current version of D&D, because I feel like no rule system is perfect. But at the same time, you don't want to wait 5 years for a revision. But Dragon articles let you, offer some alternative versions, alternative thoughts, alternative rules on a sort of regular basis. So
True.
I mean, even if we just stopped at 1985, we would already have an amazing collection of favorite articles.
Gary, you still are a hair low. So if you just want to go in and take out your mic gain and just pump that up a little bit. So you want to right click on your and you're probably on your sound bar in the bottom right under your sound settings. That may help. And that's just okay.
Oh no, he's going to get louder.
Hey, Mike. Take
So,
it away, Mike.
What about your thoughts there, Mike and Anna, on this?
The topic is going to be nice and awkward with Gary here.
No,
Why
it should be
awkward?
good.
Oh, no.
Because I probably wrote a few of the articles.
Which
Yeah.
is awesome. I mean, one of the ones I have.
Yeah. So
One of
this
the ones
is-
I have. Yeah, and I'm going to pay homage to some people here. Some of them are scrolling through. Some of them I did on the shout out for the announcement of the show. But some of these I've used recently in games. So, But I'll start us off. How's that sound? We're gonna go back, and this one's not Greyhawk, but it is for me. Because it took me a while. I got the best of Dragon before I got this one original in the original article, and let's go all the way back to lovely Dragon 39. Got to start here, where someone comes up with the idea. Well, if you're gonna play paladins, well then why don't you have, the reverse of that paladin, right? And so this article here is like, good got you down, try this for evil. The anti-paladin. I think the anti-paladin is perfect for Greyhawk.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. The anti-paladin, and this is early. So look, they even call it Volume 5, Number 1 back then on these. So, and then all the blackguards and everything else comes basically off of this. I'm going to say even like Scott Benny's Death Knight idea probably comes a little bit off of the anti-paladin. A lot of stuff that, the St. Kargeth and all that, it comes off, scrolls off of this article. And, we use it to this day. One of Tim really got me once 30 years ago with the poisons, the way they do them. So just starting it off with that. And that's my initial one. It's not a pure Greyhawk article, but it fits into the Greyhawk lore easily. So that's a class. And of course, we don't have any player character anti-paladins running around, so we don't have to worry about that. Yep. But that's my start off for.
Did that article have any influence on you, Gary?
Good question.
Sorry, what did you say, Mike?
Did this anti-paladins article ever factor into any of your writing?
It did not. I have to say, I overlooked it when I was doing my research back in the late 90s. I loved the other article about a similar topic, which was the plethora of paladins.
Yeah.
Which had, essentially 9 versions. Or
Anyone know the dragon
Every
on
line.
that? Anyone know the dragon number on that? I'll bring that up.
And that I always thought was a really cool article because it really opened up the concept of a holy warrior, that could essentially be of
It's
any alignment.
108,
Mm-hmm.
108, 110. Yeah.
They had the one of paladins of every alignment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I stayed away from that because of, I don't know. It's just, I like the Crusader more than those, but that's okay. I mean, like I said, it's just everyone gets their best flavor off
Yeah,
of it.
I mean-
There's some cool ideas.
Where I still kind of differ is I still like them to be martial figures. So if the religion isn't martial, I really don't want it to have a paladin because it's kind of silly to have like a paladin for a nature god or, a
Yep.
paladin for the goddess of beauty or something.
Yeah, because what's their Holy Avenger weapon going to be?
True.
A bouquet.
And
But
yeah, it's a
That's a
great
classic.
point. It's a great point. And then if you don't, you all remember one of the best anti-paladins ever was in the Phineas Figures cartoons, where they had guy who was Grond, and he's just like, I'm chaotic evil, I don't care, and he charged in every fight. So that was kind of funny back in the day, those cartoons in Dragon magazine. So yeah. All right, well that's me. That just starts it off with an old one. So yeah. Who wants to go next? Throw out something.
I can go with an even older one.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, because I felt like go back. Thankfully, I made my own index of dragon articles when I read through all the dragons of the ones that
Okay.
so I could that was memorable, so to speak, that I liked. So I could go back to that list today. And the first one, the oldest one I have on that list is an article in the Dragon. That was the earliest one, we called the Dragon, number 22, issue 22, page 50. The nomenclature of polearms.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and it's kind of funny
don't
because
have that one
when
on
you
the
read the
machine.
look at the player's handbook, you just get a whole bunch of listed polearms and you don't know much about them. And if there was something that Gary Gygax were complete anal about, it was polearms. He was a connoisseur of polearms. So because I guess it's a Swiss thing or something. It's like
lot
you're
of-
crazy about polearms. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of kids had to learn French back in the early
Yeah.
80s to figure out what
So
these
you know your
polearms meant.
answer from your Bardish och allt sånt där.
And the back to Corbin.
Yeah, exactly.
Now-
All the stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and there is a bunch in the appendix back here, right? Here we go. I'll just throw. I don't have Dragon 22 on my machine, so I can't bring it up. But so this is like taken from. It's called Nomenclature of Polearms here too.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah.
This is Appendix T and Arthur Cana from 83.
But we had to wait
85.
for that one.
Yeah.
By
Oh yeah,
years,
absolutely.
a decade or more. Yeah. When
Yeah.
that came, that was fantastic. But in the beginning, I remember this article when I got that was one of the inspiration for that was around for doing
There's the
polearms.
Bardiche.
I never really liked polearms much, but I realized that they were definitely big part of medieval warfare.
Thanks,
So, and mainly because I didn't think the rules treated polearms particularly favorably.
Correct. But
Yeah.
with a little tweak where you put your strength bonus for two-handed weapons to 1.5 times, solves the problem.
No, but that adds to it. That helps. But I think the key issue is that the defender don't get to do an attack of opportunity when they get attacked. When someone runs up to you, if you have something with a reach, you should be able to hit first.
Okay.
Regardless, so to speak, and so that's something I'm remedying in Hawk Tales.
Well, if you're charging, especially, and it's set, right?
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
you're not,
But if you go up against someone who's prepared and see you come in, they get a chance to attack you first. If they have a longer reach, or they do get a chance to attack you first. They get an attack of opportunity first, so you have to take that into a chance. You have to time your attacks better. And I think that's really cool. Plus the fact that you can stack a bunch of attacks and you get more flanking bonuses and stuff. So over in the beginning, I didn't like polearms at all. It was a big clumsy things to carry around. But the longer I played, the more and more I like polearms. So when you have lot of units, it's not something to carry around individually. But once you start having lots of the creatures on one side or the other, then polearms become really, really cool.
You know, Anna, having crawled in a few cave systems here in Texas, I can't imagine having to carry like a 10-foot polearm with you.
Exactly. It's not a weapon for adventure. It's a weapon for battles, outdoor battles.
I mean, it's good at poking the ground for traps, but
but then you can use your regular staff or a 10-foot pole. But a 10-foot pole is basically a polearm without an arm, so to speak,
Exactly.
or arms. Yeah. But that was my first article the oldest article I had on my list that I think
that's awesome.
Useful to look into a bit. Yep.
Yeah, and they got a lot of weapons in here, so you can have your pick.
Yep.
So, and there's the Bardiche, which is the weapon of the House Gestrul Gazumba's family. They use Bardiches, which is basically a great axe.
On a pole. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Alrighty. If you had a collapsible polearm magic item, see, Rick, you're going too far.
I just need to mention I haven't taken the ecology of articles in this list because they are a separate series that I think are some of the best in Dragon at all, and there's so many of them. So they're not on my list because I love them all. So that therefore I simply say I love them all, and they're like 70 of them or something through the years. I love them all. They're fantastic.
We could do them in the future.
Yeah, that might be a good separate one.
Absolutely. So, All right, Mike, what do you got for us?
In all the games I've played, I think I've only had one player who used a polearm on the regular, and it was a Bardiche, which almost is like not really
one step off. It's the great axe. It's one step off. I loved it when I was a kid because it was all die 4s, 2 to 8 or 3 to 12 against large. So all I need is die 4s. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Arcus kid doesn't want flaw. Most of the polearms should be quite rare. Limited polearms should be. So yes, got to remember though, Sam. It's a fantasy game, so.
If Gygax wanted more polearms in the game, they should have been part of the loot in his modules.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They are in the gold box. There's like, actually, as Curtis brings out, there's a +2 Beck to Corbin in one of the gold box games. You know, so there are some halberds. There's magic. Normally, it's limited to halberd if you ever see, and spears, but spears is a separate category than a polearm, right?
A long spear is kind of a simple polearm.
Right,
So,
So, but spears like could be used as a lance, all that stuff. But like it's just they should have put more in. But once again, this is Gary's love for something and an application. But I've seen magical halberds in games. I give out magical shit of all sorts. Like I've given out +1 Bill Gazarm or Gazarm Vools or I don't care. So yeah, yep. So all right.
So I don't think I have anything as old as what you guys are talking about.
Oh, that's okay.
Because a lot of my interest in like Dragon Magazine graphic material was the early stuff would have been about the gods, and we've covered that.
You mean all the Roger Moore stuff and all the Len stuff?
The Len and the
Len and Gary.
Stuff.
Okay,
yeah.
Len and Gary.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I'd loathe to bring that up. I don't know about you guys, but we've talked about them a lot recently. But I would get back to the Paladin stuff because we just started talking about Gary. Or we all know Gary wrote Paladin articles, and he wrote Death Knight articles for the magazines. And
still promise Jay a show on those in the future.
Yeah. And so we all know that Gary probably likes Scott Benny's Saints article, right?
Oh, it's awesome.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Issue 79. The other thing I want to know is
let's go
issue this would have been okay, I guess this is an early one. 59. Rob Koontz's Knights of Doom article. Knights of Doom.
All right, let me I think I have that one here. Give me 1 second.
Now I'm not like saying how great this is and everything. I just want to know when you already have like fiendish Knights of Doom in the Great Kingdom, then what then made you think, well, we also need undead Death Knights in the same milieu? Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Gary?
It does, but there's a couple of factors there you have to consider. One is that these Fiend Knights were created only in the late era, like in the last 20 years, because they're like Ivid's creation and his court mage. So they're a very recent phenomenon.
No history.
They don't really have much history. In the Great Kingdoms, 700 years old. The other thing is, when you are a GREYHAWK archaeologist or a D&D archaeologist, you're looking all over the place for all these little clues, and you see that in Fiend Folio that the Death Knight says there's 13 of them, right? And you're like, okay, so I have to account for these 13 in my article because originally there are 13. Now, I think it allows for the fact that more were created after the original one, so you can now have any number, but I said I'm going to have to start with 13 original ones, and then when I combine that with Scott Benny's article in St. Kargoth, I'm like, okay, that's it. I've got the pieces now to put this together.
Yep.
Now, pause a second. Now, I know I'm jumping around on different issues and everything, but this is more of a question than an article I'm really focusing on.
Yeah.
Dragon 222, I did a lot of research at work today because I wasn't busy. There's a Death Knight article, and I can't remember the author now, but issue 222 has a Death Knight article.
All right,
and I'm curious if you're familiar with anything from that, because your Death Knight articles don't come till 290, so it's not all that long.
Well, first off, let me get here because Mike's challenging me here. All right, so I have Dragon 59 up, Dragon 79 up, and now what's the other one? 222.
Yeah, check out 222. See,
I don't know if
I
I
know
have that
we've
one
talked
on.
about I know we talked about Scott Benny's
I
stuff
don't have that one on
before.
my machine.
You don't have that
Sorry.
one?
No.
Okay. Well, anyhow, just Wikipedia, I don't know if you Google it. I just come across a Death Knight article in issue 222. I know nothing
Was it
about it
was
or
it
the
set in
author.
Greyhawk?
Doubtful. If
Okay.
for all I know, it's just an ecology article.
That I don't. Let me see.
It just caught my eye that there was a Death Knight article in Dragon.
Okay, I'll try to see if I
Not
can
all
pick it
that
up.
long.
One
before
second.
yours.
I'll see if I could pick it up and then comment on it. But Jay just had up, of course, one of my favorite periodical articles of all time, Scott Benny's Saintly Standards. And I ran across that one not in the original Dragon. I ran across it in the best of.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
Ding, 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 ding.
I remember thinking, this is so awesome. You know, I'm like an altar boy in a Catholic school, and there's saints in my setting, and I'm thinking, wow, how. And I'm immediately thinking, but saints are dead people, and these are saints who are living. So it's like the concept of a saint is much different in D&D than it is in the real world. But yeah, I think that article inspired so much of my Greyhawk development.
Not Greyhawk, but adopted, right?
Yes, although I will say that in 2001-ish, I ran into Scott Benny online and I had a conversation with him. And so he
Nice.
indicated to me that his article, and that he was a big Greyhawk fan, and that his article would have been for his Greyhawk campaign,
Nice.
except for the fact that only certain people could write Greyhawk articles for Dragon back in those days. You know, you had to be Gary or Len or Rob. They didn't just let the freelancers, like they would later in the 90s, freelancers could write Greyhawk articles. But, and then he was super complimentary of the Death Knights article, which I dedicated to him at the end. So I think he took it in the spirit intended. So
this article has so changed, affected my campaign. The Saint, when the Saint came out, it was because this is well before quasi deities, right?
It was around the same time.
Yeah, but for me, I'm like, there's a step before godhood.
Yes.
Which there was demigod or player character demigod, and this is where, and the stories in here, you know, are really cool about like these normal people elevating to sainthood.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's where that's what's been fun with them. And I've used 3 of the 4 in here.
Yeah, all Eric Mona and I, we basically
Kargoth.
brought all four of these guys into Greyhawk. Saint Cyril is the patron saint of the Pale,
Right.
and Saint Bane, of course, undead hunter.
Yep.
You know, and Saint Eleodor is the one that's a little more misty because he's got an adventure hook that's tremendous and has so far been unexploited.
Right. And then, you know, Kargoth's running around, and now Kargoth gets on the back of Joe Manganiello's shirts, right?
He does.
You know, and so that's where it goes. You know, Fritz Fest, you got it, you know it, Curtis. Fritz Fest Saturday. Can you stand 24 hours of Fritz? So but you know, and once again, these are not individuals you want to fight them, and oh my God, kill them off in one adventure. You know what I mean? Yeah, I love this article. You know, Scott Benny's one of the people I absolutely regret never having on before he passed. So you know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the contributors to WG7, and his chapter wasn't
terrible.
Bad, you know, like some of the others. I mean, a few of them took their job seriously and tried to write something that was cool. Others were like, well, let's take a shot at Gygax and make fun of his.
See, Gary, if you were in that pool of writers back then, and they tapped you to do it, would have you said, nah, that's too silly for me? Or you would have been like, let's do it?
Well, it depends on what the instructions were, right? If the instructions were, let's lampoon Castle Greyhawk, I probably wouldn't want to do that. If I was given a chance to write WGR1, I would have loved to do that because I think WGR1 is very skeletal, needs a lot more lore and content to make it. And you kind of get that with Eric's expedition.
I'm looking through this, Mike, and I don't know where the Death Knight is in this book, in this Dragon 222.
Well, the thing
It's
I
for
referenced.
one of the first articles.
Is it an article on him?
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's one of the first articles.
So you dug it out.
You just go past the introduction and it's there.
Is it by Doug Niles? I mean, that one says I'll start with
Oh,
Tarzan.
Just go.
Oh, there it
you
is.
go.
Goes.
The Death Knight. Ed Stark. I know Ed.
Ed Stark.
We know Ed. Ed's part of
Oh,
Page
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever read that. That don't look familiar to me.
Huh. Wow. Yeah, Ed's one of the main people that's in Page now. Let's see. Is this a stat? Artwork by I'm just trying to see. All Death Knights. The Death Knight is an NPC? Oh.
I guess it's good to point that out
Yeah.
for those who get ideas. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
All
in
right.
third edition, they made the Death Knight a template.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that what? Okay. Okay.
But this is not third edition, is it?
No, this is still second.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Well, it's not Greyhawk based event. It's generic, which is all right. So, yes, that is the 3-stage poison. You know how much I love that. And then, so, someone, Gary, explain what the difference is between the Demonic Knights of Doom and a Death Knight. Why? What is the difference?
Yeah. First, I should say, Stuart Kerrigan et al., they have a great book on DM's Guild about the Fiend Knights.
Yes.
I recommend people picking that up. The main difference is that the Fiend Knights are still human to most extent. They're still mortal.
Okay.
What they've sort of been infused with. I think as the story has gone on, they become a little more fiendish.
It's
with
the
time.
gear, right? It's
It's the gear. It's the mental training they've undergone to become almost, unswervingly loyal to Ivid. So they're like humans who have been augmented and turned into these ultimate warriors, and they're dressed to be intimidating. So just like any classic fantasy movie villain, they have spiky armor and intimidating helmets and intimidating weapons, but they're like Ivid's like right hand.
Look,
Guard.
heraldry.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Fiend Knight Cavalry, yeah.
But
Pop
since Ivid took his place on the throne, I think in the 550s, they're not much more than a few years after that in time. So
interesting. But they are a Rob Kuntz creation.
they are.
Okay.
Because they have a connection through the
Hey, Star.
is it what's his name? Zane?
Okay, Zane.
Zane or Karulk? I can't remember which of the two. But it's one of the court wizards.
It's either Zane with an X or a Z.
My Great Kingdom lore is fuzzy, Gary. Is the Companion Guard something totally different from the Fiend Knights as well?
Yes.
Okay.
The Companion Guard is a little bit more like your Roman Praetorian Guard. So they're mortals, but they're absolutely groomed to become
different levels of elite.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I don't know if we ever got a number of the Fiend Knights.
I don't think he does, and their hit die goes from 4 to 10. So I guess they can still level up, right?
Yeah.
So
well, you definitely don't have 1,500 of those guys like the Companion Guard.
Okay. Let me see if I can find the supplement article to this. Is it 70? Let's try this. Is it in 71? So quasi deity is before. I'm trying to see here. 19.
Now, Gygax does mention saints in the original first edition Dungeon Master.
He does. You're absolutely correct. Whoops.
But he just mentions them offhand as sort of a possible being of power that could be encountered in Greyhawk. But
let me see if this is correct here. 19, page 19. All right. So another good one. This is a Gary Gygax article. This is the first. So quasi deities are first. Actually, this is 71. Mm-hmm. So Yeah, and this is the first time you see that hero deity shows up. These high level characters that were adventure or player characters, and they've kind of transcended, right? So you got Heward, right?
Yeah, these guys have explored the planes of existence. They've
Kiotum.
acquired.
Hey, Chris.
They're dual classed, triple class, quadruple classed.
Yeah.
They're very old, so they've acquired some sort of
spelled wrong there. Merlin.
Oh,
yeah, definitely spelled wrong there. And then Kellenen. So I have Merlin and Kellenen as specialty priests in my game, but I don't have Keatum or Heward. So there you go. So that's another article early on. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, I pored over that article so many times to develop the Company of Seven.
Early, yeah.
I mean, Gygax in those entries talks about relationships between these guys, who are friends, who is in the company of whom, and from that I inferred a lot about who knew each other and who was.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah,
the list Gary is talking about, like Heward is with Merlin and Merlin is with Heward. He went into some extensive detail on these lists of associations, and it's like, is that something he expected DMs to roll with, to use these characters? And because why go into such detail?
You'd have to imagine that he did, but at the same time, you're like, Gary, you're crazy. You shouldn't be throwing all these deities at people all the time. But what's interesting is these characters were named for his friends and family. So those relationships might be actually reflective of a real world relationship, So it's interesting. There's definitely some, Greyhawk archaeology to do there. Maybe Luke someday can figure out, something to tell us about that. But otherwise, these were characters. My impression is that the quasi deities were not, for the most part, actual players. Although in Merlin's case he was.
Yeah.
But they're very much homages to people, and they were used as sort of like the players who had already retired above his actual adventuring groups, the people like the Circle of Eight and all those characters that were at Emerald Meadows. And
speaking of these guys,
what's that, Mike?
Kellenen. Now you got me thinking about this issue. Kellenen's nickname is the Sword Saint. He's a saint.
He is a saint.
It says here the Prince of Swords. Most of my duelists in my game revere Kellenen. So the one you'll see tomorrow night is Kellenen follower. It just makes sense.
He's popular in the Sheldamar Valley.
Absolutely. So it's definitely Rublar is the original anti-paladin. Rublar was never Rublar was just a fighter. He was never paladin like or anti-paladin like that I ever saw.
Fallen paladin.
Yeah.
I don't get the impression that the table game of Gygax took alignment very seriously.
That's true. They were always
Everybody was just a greedy adventurer, more like a murder hobo than.
That's true. The game evolved, right? The game really evolved back then.
Why does Gygax in such an early issue make the first 2 or 3 guys quasi deities, and then Kellenen is his own class hero deity?
It says,
why weren't they all?
I don't think any of those other guys are actually worshipped. They're not patron.
Right. It says right here. It says. One who might or might not be a true deity, thus he is a hero deity, and some who live by the sword pay him homage. That's why, because he started to get the follower base. Now, if you go to the Slavers reference, Merlin's getting that too.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's a lot of people.
But back then,
right?
Statistically, there was no difference between a quasi deity and a hero deity.
No,
I guess
no, except that a hero deity can grant spells.
Yeah.
That was the difference. It was a limited amount.
I still put them on par, Mike, with each other. I don't.
Yeah. And I think that the saint's right on par with the quasi deity too, as it says in the article. you know, in '79. They're very similar.
Absolutely.
Very similar. So you got this whole level of Greyhawk characters that are like in that ether between godhood and and between that and your normal everyday adventurer, your normal high level character. So yeah. Thanks. So yeah, the old stuff is where you get your good ideas, man. I'm especially in Greyhawk, go back to the beginning and just soak it in.
Yeah, look for a nugget that's been
That's it.
unexploited, and just take
That's
it and run with
absolutely it. So, all right. We handled multiple. We handled 59, 79, 222. We are good with that. So, who wants to go next?
Well,
I have. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, has anyone put the Hells articles on their list? Because those are
No.
two of my.
Oh, the
most
9
favorite
Hells?
articles. Yes.
All
right.
You take you reading my
What
thoughts,
dragon number, Anna, is that?
All right, Anna,
Fir-
go for
first, we
Anna.
have the Dragon 28. There's a whole bunch of articles that I think are really cool. We can bundle them together here. First is the Dragon 28, the politics of hell. That's up my
That's
alley.
in a Best of Dragon 2, right?
That might be. I'm not
Yes.
sure.
It's in Best of Dragon 2, if I recall. Because
Yeah.
I don't have the 28 on my machine, but I think I have.
Yeah.
I think
So the politics of hell, which
it could be
it's cool.
Best of
it's
one.
going.
There it is.
I don't
Page
agree with all of it,
68.
but yeah, but I love the fact that someone wrote the article
Oh my
and
gosh.
they I love that type of reasoning that is in there. So awesome. And then we
Okay.
have Ed. I forgot. Hang on a second. Who wrote the first one?
I found it.
It's such a self-indulgent article because this material
Should
will
be.
almost never come into play in your actual campaign, right?
Right.
If your players go to the 9 Hells, they're going to get squashed.
Yeah. Alexander Van Thoren wrote this one. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yep. There you go. It's up.
Yeah, but this is the stuff that world building for me. So I love this. This is so cool. And then Ed Greenwood wrote another 3 articles that are in 75, 60, 76, and 91. And the first one is 9 Hells Part 1, 9 Hells Part 2, and 9 Hells Revisited. That are super, super cool. But he doesn't go through politics that much. He talks about the individual powerful ones and a little bit of their roles and stuff that are really cool. Yep.
I mean, this is the material that eventually builds the Manual of the Planes, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. And the Abyssal and the books, the Igwilf's guides and stuff like that. It comes from these articles.
Imagine having your article and then you get the Legend of all legends doing the artwork for it, right?
Mhm.
Because that right, that is oh my god, my brain just shut off. Same person who did the article for Baltron Speaking.
Yep.
And same art, all the Dragon Lances. Oh my god, my brain just Larry Elmore, right? It's Elmore art,
Yeah.
isn't it? It looks like Elmore.
Yeah, I
art.
think so.
Yeah.
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 And there's another cool article that ties into this in Dragon 113 that is called Welcome to Hades. That I think is actually in some ways is the best one, I think. Let's see who wrote that one. I need to stay ahead of them. Page 11.
Yeah, and I can't. I can only open so many.
Bruce Barber wrote that one, and in a lot of ways it's the best one because it's real that they're all good in that sense that they gave me a lot of thoughts and stuff. So when I played the game a few years and I started catching up on my old dragons and I started reading this, it was like, yes, this is the material I want to see.
Jay, ultimately, the Mad Mothers Against D&D were right. Our
yeah.
does have a lot of demonology in
It
it.
does.
And it's all the articles they hated, and that's the thing I want to read.
Oh,
so.
Exactly. I mean, the politics of
if
hell
it comes with a warning sticker, it's like, it's for me. Yep.
I mean, it's where you can
it's
let
a
your imagination...
seal of quality. Yeah.
Yeah, your imagination runs wild with this stuff. You have no limitations.
Yeah. No, and
so Gygax in the early Monster Manual 2, has scads of demons and devils and things. So I think it's only obvious that someone would pick up and do entire articles on the culture of all these monsters, right? You know, there's not, he didn't put a bunch of angels in the monster manual, at least not named ones. They did put a lot of Modrons in there. Is there a Modron politics article?
I forgot.
Not
Probably
that,
Not.
not that I've seen
Yeah.
that I can remember. Yeah.
I hope
But
not.
the seeds were all planted in the monster manuals,
Hey, Keith.
and those guys just ran with it.
Yeah. There's a lot of, and it shows like how prolific Ed is, because this is right around the time he's starting to start to put Forgotten Realms into publication, besides having it in his own home campaign. And he's doing all this other writing for other stuff. It's really not a lot of based on FR. So, well, let's not even go there. Every time someone says the word Modron, I have a semi-stroke. So, yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm
going to scroll up here from this, though, and I'm going to show that.
Another
ahead,
fun, just quick thing I want to throw out is I envision Ed writing this thing on an old style typewriter.
Typewriter,
too,
yeah.
back in the day. Yeah.
He probably still writes in typewriters. By the way, you get to see Ed Saturday night during our 24-hour stream. Now, he's not playing the full 24 hours, but he will be playing. All right, let's go up here. Leonard was good for some really small articles that really put in a lot of oomph. Why not show everyone how you can become a lich? You know, you all want to become immortal in your character. Here you go.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, our hobby is not obsessed with evil.
Yeah, yes. Blueprint for a lich.
Is that issue 26? Really?
Yes.
Does that predate Vecna?
Oh, yeah.
Vecna?
No.
So
Vecna
Len,
was just a node in DMG at the time.
Yeah.
Len has the blueprint, so Len created Vecna?
No, he didn't. But he created how to get there. Like, look, he's got the entire formula here, and then here it is. Most of the time, it's not going to work. You know.
Is there a disclaimer in the article? Don't do this at home.
Len never put disclaimers in anything.
No.
Yeah, never. So, yes. Oh my God, no! I couldn't. I have enough. Murlocs are fine. No Modrons and Greyhawk Nazi. I cannot do it.
Which issue was it?
26. I'm in the Best of Dragon Volume 2.
Okay.
Where this is. So, but yeah, and then he shows it. A picture of. Well, that didn't look like that worked. He's just lying. Who knows? Dead. Start over if you can be resurrected with all that. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So. You better have some friends around when you do this.
Yep. Well, you're not going to have any friends after that.
Yeah.
So you better keep them around.
Yeah. It's really crazy.
If he succeeds, you will have no friends afterwards.
Well, but a fun article there. Wanted to share that one as we were in Best of Dragon Volume 2. Okay. All righty. What do you got for us, Mike?
So much of Dragon periodicals is GREYHAWK, isn't it?
Sad to say.
Yeah. That it's a task for me to.
It's a subgenre.
Look for other stuff that's not related to Gary in some even on a tangent. But here's maybe a deep dive for you. Dragon 139, and it's Neil Brandt did an article called Lords and Legends. It's a few wizard NPCs, and that's where he introduces Elaine Mystica.
Yes.
And to Iron Gate and everything, and it has always amazed me because I don't know if this Brandt guy ever did any other articles in Dragon. He certainly didn't do any other GREYHAWK, or I would be more familiar with his name. But yet he made a character that's kind of enduring.
I was going to say, that almost felt like it was going to be a series, but then they didn't really release any more entries.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see if I have that one. I don't think I have that one, unfortunately.
But we didn't miss that one. I wrote the Iron Gate section for the LGG, and so I put Elaine Mystica in there, and definitely love the Larara and their lore.
Yeah.
So
Oh, and that comes from
picked
that
up
one,
on
huh?
In
Yes.
this article, she's a 19th level mage,
139.
female mage, and at the time there
Which
just
in
wasn't
second
any.
edition, no, in second edition, that's badass. I mean, that's
It's hugely.
You know,
tough.
what do
Huge.
you have? Igwilv and Jalarzi. That's about it.
And Jalarzi was a 19th, yeah.
No, she was only she even arch, was she 18th? I think she was like 17th, wasn't she? She was just short of archmage, or did she just make it?
Yeah, I don't think she could cast ninth.
Yeah, she was 16th, 17th, or 17th, if I recall. So, exclamation point drawing, Sparky.
But yeah,
She's
like
only
you said, Gary,
14th.
it felt like it should have been in like a Giants in the Earth type column. That would have been
Which they were all great. Those
continue.
Giants in the Earth ones.
I mean,
Uh,
could you imagine getting a few of those every issue, or even like
Yeah.
6 times a year?
You used to. Back in
You
the
used to.
50s to 60s, you used to.
Yeah.
So, like, I think if we go to, let me
I
see.
think there was also a dwarf, a Greyhawk dwarf introduced in that issue. I can't remember. his
that
name.
might okay. Maybe that was another issue.
I'm
I know what
sorry,
you're
I
talking
could
about.
not be able to bring that up and get a quick download on
You
that
have
one.
to have all of them tonight. Every
Oh,
periodical
yeah.
of every kind on your computer.
Sorry, Jay, we should have sent you the list ahead of time.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Yep. All the long
Yeah.
lists made him miserable. His machine be miserable. Yep.
Yeah.
So what do
You
mean
can get
odd
almost
man?
anything you want off of all the visions of Greyhawks, all the Grey Grimoires, all their journals are all free downloads.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of free stuff.
Yeah,
Everything on Cannon Fire, you know, you can get a lot of stuff.
Now, at
So-
one point, everything from first and second edition was released on purpose by TSR right before third edition. So you can find a lot of it on an internet archive.
Yes, you just gotta, know how to work the magic of it. Work through and find stuff.
And
You
the
know,
first
yeah.
250 issues of Dragon were released on a DVD or
yeah,
CD.
Yep.
that was-
CD-ROM.
250. The first
Yeah.
250, I think it was.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I have that, but I don't. This machine doesn't have a CD. I got a newer computer with the CD-ROMs.
Well, you can take them from the CD-ROM and put them on the hard drive.
Yes.
You have hard drive nowadays. So
I do, but I don't have a CD-ROM, right?
Just
Yeah.
get
I have
an
most of
exter-
them. It's just you guys
get
are
it-
hitting me up with ones I've never looked at.
Get an external USB one and then
Yeah.
Yep.
Pop it up.
Pop it off. Yeah.
But my machine downstairs has
I think that was the first thing I did when I got my Dropbox, to put all the Dragon magazines and all the
Oh my
PDFs
gosh.
on it.
Yes.
Yep.
My Google Drive has them all.
Oh God, I have 250 gigabytes of stuff in there when it comes to my
Let's
reference
go.
I got a
library.
link.
Oh, awesome. Yep.
I did a blog post on
Oh,
cool.
Lords and
yes.
Legends. So
All right,
there
beautiful.
was an issue with
All
dwarves.
right, so hold on one
Fantastic.
second.
Yes.
Let me. We're gonna get a double entendre here in a second here,
Mhm.
as I'm gonna bring my Twitch up on here. You're gonna hear my voice probably, or someone's voice, and then I'm just gonna click off of it and use that link like that.
Cord and
All right,
Bad Axe.
There we go. Boom. Okay, here we are. And now I can show it. Good job, Mike. Yeah, normally you have a blog post on almost everything here.
Yeah. No,
There you go.
not Death Knights apparently.
No, that's not really.
Maybe.
Uh,
I didn't know about that article.
so there. Yeah.
Yeah, this could be a good topic for a future show. Is Lords and Legends from your campaigns.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
But what I'm surprised
yeah.
about with
That's a great one.
this column is they're actually letting people publish Greyhawk content.
Yes, and that changed in second edition.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
You
got to
got-
remember too. It's still, even though it's in Dragon, it's still fandom, right? Is it canon? I mean,
Dragon
Until
was
Gygax
sufficient.
plucks it and puts it in a book. Yeah.
yeah, it's got to go in a
Yeah, I
book.
mean it's quasi canon,
Yeah. Right.
literally in some cases. But yeah, I mean I remember when I first picked up the issue that had the Pomarge, See the Pomarge and Die article. I was like, wow, they're publishing Greyhawk lore now in Dragon magazine, and it was many
Well, I guess-
pages long.
Yeah,
Good
Gary
segue.
had to be ousted from the company first. Then
Yes.
they could do what they wanted. Yeah. What the hell? Yeah. Before then, it was his setting. Yeah.
This is not that long ago, Mike. It's only 2021 too. This isn't like
I'll be damned.
early blog.
That
This is like COVID and a COVID blog.
really, yeah. Like Gary says, I must have been dumpster diving for that.
It's still good. Yeah. What level's Elaine Mystica?
19.
And where's she from? Like,
She's from.
She is from the Lost Passage of the Saloy.
oh, she's a Sewell.
She is a Larara Soul.
A Lalara Sewell. A
she's an
Leonard
Alba-
Sewell.
Now, one of my theories is that the Larara, when they're born, are given the milk of the mother to drink. And essentially, they have a parasite that's living within them that helps control their thoughts and their loyalty. But for some reason, every once in a while, a Larara is immune or rejects the milk of the mother. And so they are able to, retain their own thoughts and ideas. And if you can't fake it, you got to leave. So she escaped from the tunnel system down there and made it to the surface world and eventually made it all the way to Iron Gate.
Okay.
So do you remember her alignment, Mike? Is she like good or is she just neutral? I can't remember, but she definitely is now part of the aristocracy
No,
of Iron
I'd
Gate.
have to look at.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So let's bounce off, just so everyone knows we're not just on dragons here. How's that sound?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
We're going to go here, and I'm going to show something that I think was, for its time, groundbreaking. And I hopefully I have it up still here. We're going to go to this Living Greyhawk Journal 2.
Okay, let's all do a non-dragon one.
Yes, Living Greyhawk Journal Gazette 2, which had a map in it. And if you were lucky to have one, and it took me years to get one, right? If you're lucky, and now we were giving away during fundraisers, thanks to Sam and a couple other people, you get to see these great articles as they add on to locations in Greyhawk City, and it's Malden and Eric Mona doing this, and I just love. And there's our discussion on that your book there, Gary. And then we just come in and just go Gems of the Flanders City Greyhawk Map Key, and they're going to talk about all these really cool new locations that have been come about since the Free City Greyhawk box set. So before I had this, I'm using the old Free City Greyhawk box set map, and it's great, but it's just not enough population on it. And now Malden's map, which if I can't with my headset on, I can't go over and reach it. It's over on that shelf back there. But yes, so I'm just saying that this was groundbreaking for him to do it. I mean, it gives Dennis an all-time attaboy, right? For doing something
Absolutely.
like this. Yeah.
Did you all know Dennis was working on that,
Oh yes.
or was it a surprise?
Nope. He was showing it off in chats, and it was not a surprise. But there was a lot of grumbling originally about the first map of the city of Greyhawk. Lots of people didn't like it. Felt it was a little cartoonish. It felt like it didn't have enough buildings to support the population.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I still think that's the case.
That's very
Yeah.
relative, because
I
I
mean,
think
just-
like the
yes.
maps in Fata Vistas or whatever are way worse than
Dennis-
the City of Greyhawk box set.
Dennis took it as far as you could take it without breaking it. But I think it's time to break it. I think Anna and other people should take a stab at making a more realistic city.
I'm working on that. Yeah.
Mhm. There was a person in chat this week, Anna, who asked if you're going to make a 3D version of the
Yes.
City of Greyhawk. Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is version 2. This isn't version 1. This is the version
That's
2 map.
much better. That's a huge upgrade. Yep.
Right. But it's an awesome. You got to give him credit for the amount of time that takes. So, hey, Brett. But I want to say kudos to him and Eric for doing this, and that's why I wanted to go out. And I wanted to go outside of a Greyhawk, Dragon magazine too, for one. And that's why I went to Living Greyhawk Journal 2. You can get a lot of them on, you can find them on PDF. But if you're lucky enough to get a copy of that, with the map in it, that's awesome. So
Well, there was always a plan to detail all the quarters and stuff, but
Was that written and is on the cutting room floor?
No, I don't think so. I think that was going to be written as.
Just remember, we did a series of discussions with Mal, and Malden hopped on a lot of them, showing us all the ads and changes he did. So we did do a lot of Legends and Lores with Dennis in helping us with these location descriptions, because a lot of them I didn't know where they came from, whatever, and he explained a lot of them. I think we got it for like two or three of those discussions. So we're really lucky to have them on. So there are some documented Legends and Lores with that. So I think that was when Mike had first gone off and was playing on Wednesdays, and Dennis was able to come on those nights. Yeah, so.
Yeah, he decided, he avoids me.
Yeah, Mike, one of the things that was a big subject of debate in the mid-90s was, were these authors, these early authors, all sitting on mountains of material that just wasn't published? I lean towards no. First of all, authors rarely put all the work in something and not use it. So if Gygax did have more material, he probably used it in his other post TSR work. Maybe the Epic of Aerith was a lot of what he might have intended for the rest of GREYHAWK. But the same thing with Land and other guys. I mean, you're not going to write a few thousand-word article and not get paid for it and just have it sit. So I think we probably, everybody might have a couple of articles that might be unfinished and sitting there, but I don't think there's a ton of lore that we haven't gotten.
No, I think that though, from my discussions, and I think Brett and Curtis in chat will agree, from just sitting with this person at GaryCon, we get a lot of that with the person holding on the most information is Ed for his Forgotten Realms, because they chop a lot of stuff and it goes, what he calls, into the cut floor, which he holds on to it. I think that's a different story, because he's writing so much, they cut out a lot. But I don't think that happened to the other authors, that much. The GREYHAWK authors. Now, it doesn't mean Jim Ward's wasn't sitting on a bunch of stuff. We just don't know, so, yep. So he's GREYHAWK setting it. Yep. So, Oblivion, thank you very much. Great to see you. All right.
Well, I'll jump to the Orth Journal for my
go for it. What number?
Favorite. So it's Orth Journal number 3.
Wow, super early. Awesome.
Yes.
Let me go to that.
It's an article by Roger Moore called "The Good Orth."
Okay. Let me bring that up. Or Journal 3.
Yeah. So I was, when Eric took over for issue 2, I was on the ground floor with him there. And so,
1996.
We had to pull together some articles that we wrote ourselves, infamous articles like Eric's Backloonish Delights Part 1. I did my Sorceress Societies of the Flannis, and we thought it was such a coup to get, Roger Moore to write an article for this brand new zine. Len was the first one. Yeah. And he wrote something that was just right up my alley. He was talking about the geography of the Orth, essentially, taking the known measurements and lore that we knew about it, and what did that mean for the planet, and what implications that would have for the Flannis. And so that article is one of the first attempts to try to do kind of a serious geography. And
Earth from the ground up.
It impressed me so much that in the very next issue, I had my supplemental article to it. So I wrote another one where I used all my MIT math to try to explain why, maybe the Darlene map was more artistic than realistic.
Sorry, guys. It's bouncing on me here. There we go. Earth from the ground up, the good Earth. Okay, cool.
That was meant to be a column. The Good Earth was going to be a recurring column, but I don't know if it ever got a second article.
Well, that is a fantastic article. I just love that one. I've been using it as my reference. That's my Bible when it comes to the size of the planet and all that.
Roger's still not available on AOL, is he?
No, I don't think. Is AOL still? Is AOL available for anybody?
I think it is. Yeah, I think the email still addresses are still good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be
thanks, you're right there.
Pluffett's Measure, Thera's Done, Bocob, and one other, I think, on AOL.
Wow. Would the Dragon Annual 1 map be fit in with the Good Orth column?
Oh my God, that's not even funny. That is funny. That's pretty hysterical, actually.
And actually, it is a subject because, going way back 20 years ago, the idea was that we're trying to fix the Dragon Annual map. Even if we didn't like the labels and the features, we're still trying to make it work as a orthogonal projection of
See if I have it in here.
planet. And it was clear that if the Flanus was true, if everything about the size and position of the Flanus was true, then the Dragon Annual map had some faults that needed to be fixed.
Right. Well, a very interesting article. Is that Roger's first? Did he do anything in 1 or 2? Is that his first submission to the Earth Journals?
No, that was his first. Yeah.
Wow.
He did a second. He did another article, I think, in 4 called "The Green Nightmare," which was all about the Amidio. So that was another great article.
All right. So, shall we stay in Earth Journals? How's that? Because I have one for the Earth Journal.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
please do.
Okay. So, when I see something, I run with it. And we're going to go to Earth Journal 36.
That's recent.
Well, yeah, 2022, spring of 2022. And Les comes up with this brilliant idea about lures of elven trees, right? I think it's near the end here. Oh, look at that, Mike. Who says that?
Oh,
Oh, hey.
Cultists of
those guys.
Tharizdun, number
Nice.
6. Yeah.
Nice.
The Sheltering Ancestors. So I like this article so much about how the elven trees, you can implement them into your campaign, and actually they're ancient ancestors of current day elves that have sacrificed themselves and they've grown into trees. It just was really and it's a multi-dimensional space inside, and there's very few of them left, and there's only a certain number of them in Selene, out on the outskirts of Selene. And I had an entire adventure I ran not that long ago that they had to protect one. The adventuring party, and I thought it was really well done idea, and how to spot one, the powers they have, just a fantastic article. And the good thing about Les is he always notes here, chapter 9 of Andre Norton's Quad Keep triggered to think about elves and trees that resulted in this article. He always has he talks about Roger Moore in here, all the things in Dragon 60, and where he gets his ideas from for these. So I really love this article for usability, and it went right into an adventure in my campaign, and that's from Earth Journal 36. Yep. So there you go. All right. Who wants
Good
to go
one, Jay.
next?
I have one from Roger E. Moore back in Dragon 39.
Oh, Roger.
39, the anti-paladin one as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I have another little, I think, a little cool one there that from Roger.
I still have that up.
Yep. So good. And it's on page 41, and it's in the Bazaar of the Bizarre. And it's cloud castles, and I was like, someone wrote an article about how to make a cloud castle and what the nature of them are. I think it's brilliant.
Bazaar of the Bizarre. That's another great series.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great series, but odd magic items, odd little lore, whatever, and so on. And I think it's a very short one, but it's a great one for its length. I think it's fantastic. So kudos to Roger for writing such a wonderful little article.
And this is well before I think he's even
this is early
part
on.
of it, hired by TSR.
I think it was one of the first he sent in or something like that.
Yeah,
before he worked there. So
yeah. So
Jay, a natural idea is take these big recurring series titles and make those different shows.
Yeah,
make a show of just a Bazaar of the Bizarre.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
absolutely.
We have ecology.
Ecology. I think the next one we would do is ecology because Anna's so hot on it.
Ecology is Bazaar of the Bizarre. Yeah.
And by the way, Ed wrote a lot of ecology ones.
Oh yeah, he wrote like a quarter of them at least, and there's like 50 of them or more. Yeah.
Yeah. Merlin / Wenger lives in one of those cloud castles, though. Is Wenger Wenger's not Greyhawk, right?
No, I'm not sure. I just thought it's so cool that someone wrote an article about cloud castles. It's awesome. So yeah.
Very
ahead
cool.
of its time.
Look, and
Yeah.
there's something by Ed right beneath it. Greenstone Amulet.
Exactly. Yep.
Greyhawk, Greyhawk
like-
does kind of have a cloud castle in Lendor Isle, right?
Yeah, I think there are some rumors of cloud castles.
As long as not all the elves are going back there, I don't care. That's great.
And then
for
there's Liberation of
Castle.
Jeff.
Yeah,
Oh,
Jeff
right.
has
Yeah.
one too.
Cloud
Cloud,
Castle.
cloud
Yeah.
giants are
Yep,
naturally.
absolutely, 100%.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good one. Cloud castles are DSL's diesel, so this is a diesel art right here. Yep, diesel art. So, good one. All right. So, what do you think there, Gary? You want me to go to your big one now? I got one for you.
Sure, I'm not going to pick my own because
I'll
that'll be
pick it.
lame.
I'll pick it.
Yeah.
The Last Dragon
The
by
last,
Paizo.
the last
Last
paper
Dragon.
dragon.
Last Dragon, yeah, the last
Mhm.
one. Treasures
So-
of Greyhawk, Magic of the Company of Seven. This ties into the Quasi Deities article,
So funny little story about that article.
and
Essentially,
Rick too.
yes, with Rick. Eric gave me a heads up a few months early that, they're going to be wrapping up. Paizo was going to lose the license. And so he said, you can have an article in the last issue, whatever you want.
Oh,
And
That's
I
awesome.
said, "Oh my God, what?" So I really wanted to publish the Seekers, which we ended up publishing in the Earth Journal. But I was like, "Oh, that article needs a little more time, a little more work, so it's like I'm not going to be ready in time." And so I said, "Oh, I know what I have to do. I have to touch on these iconic characters of the world of Greyhawk and just say something about them before we disappear, And so I just, I'd mentioned them already in the LGG and some other journal articles. Essentially, this was the adventuring group that is implied by all the lore around Zagig and Merlin and all these guys. And so we turned it into a crunch article with all these magical items, but we put all this lore in it that kind of buttressed what we thought was our take on these guys. Now, does this match Gygax's table canon for these characters? No, because we could never know what he really meant to do with them. But it's our best guess at what the published lore, looked like for us. So
Yeah.
yeah. And unfortunately, it is the genesis of the Tasha Igwilv connection.
Good job.
oh, Gary, you're to blame for this. This is awesome. Or take credit for it. This is good. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah. But, a lot, it's just like Kargoth. It's just like
I like it.
It's just like Vecna. People come up with an initial idea, and it runs and it has its life of
It's
its
a
own,
life of its own.
and
Yeah.
it goes too far.
Yes.
We've had a lot of those. It's not anyone's fault, but like with this,
I mean, you never know what's going to interest someone and who's going to take it and run with it.
right?
Yeah.
But it's it was around that time when clones and doppelgangers were being used so much, and people were like, "Oh my God, is that the solution? Another clone?" So,
I'm more
Yeah.
bored with clones than I'm with that connection between Igwilv and
Cool,
Tasha and
yeah,
stuff.
'cause-
I like that. I like that. I think
now
it's,
for me,
Yeah.
Igwilv is the real person.
Mhm.
She is this badass evil witch essentially.
Yep.
And Tasha is the mask she wears to deal
Yep.
with some people.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, Jay, you like the items in the article?
During the fundraiser, it's got to be number 3 or number 4 or 5. I think it's number 4, where I used that the Dragonborn for the only time ever, just as a joke, right? It's the main antithesis.
Mhm.
The Dragonborn was wearing the Merlin's hat, right? Yeah, and so that is actually one of, I think, Bones' character, not her bandit, but her Clark Ranger got the hat, and then I also used this. I used Nozzle's orb too. Yeah, that too. Both of them.
Yeah.
So I used 2 items from this, and that's the thing. That's why I put it up here. It's something I utilized in my game, so which is awesome. Gotcha,
So,
Michael.
Rick and I have been talking lately about the possible idea of doing individual articles on these 7 characters in individual issues of Vision. So
Yeah.
we may get a lot more lore on them.
Excuse me. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. You could, this Magic Item presented in this article can be easily used as part of the Expedition Ruins of Greyhawk. So there you go. You can throw it right in there. And that's another link to the final published adventure that everything is wrapping up at this point. So,
yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, but and I know that was there a hole after 2008? I don't, I wasn't around at that time.
They transitioned to an online version of Dragon.
Exactly. There were a few
Yeah.
months or a year or something like that. Then they got the Dragon up online version, or that they published in PDF form, actually, the first. And then it was
Yeah.
Dragon Plus. That was not really a magazine. It was just
Yeah, it was
something
just a
they called.
website.
Yeah, it was a website that someone managed to make into PDFs or something like that. It was a marketing thing. It was not a magazine, really.
For me, a zine is almost like a dungeon. You have to have all the little ads and all the little corners filled in with material that's weird, the letters to the editor, all that kind of stuff to really be a zine. These, blog posts essentially they're just not the same thing.
They're maybe substitute for articles, but not for the
Yeah.
zine itself.
Exactly. And then a lot of them, their URLs change and they disappear. You can't connect to them anymore. So.
Dragon Plus, I don't think was a download of any kind. It almost was built for viewing on your cell phone.
Yeah,
It was a continuously scrolling.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But someone
article.
made PDFs out of them, and I downloaded them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But it was like a marketing thing that was there to.
I'm setting up another one.
Yeah.
But like someone else needs to go.
Mike, did you go?
Yeah, I wanted to throw out real quick on Dungeon Magazine. You're talking about
Dungeons, yeah.
So he was talking about influencing. So I never ran Savage Tide, but they had a lot of backdrops.
They did.
Sasserine, Scuttle Cove, Isle of Dread. These were all very influential for my Sea Princes campaign, which borrowed heavily on the Savage Tide material just for my own benefit. And then, I made maps for it, you've all seen.
Yes.
And a lot of that's James Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
You got a number?
139 is Sasserine.
Got it.
Sasserine, there was a map included with it. And I don't care, what came before it. It was a fully realized city with details and NPCs and whatnot.
We've had Mark Castle in here, the Greater Halls in here right above. I mean, my gosh, just.
Yeah, I think
GREYHAWK was a
There's
good
Lavinia right there.
The idea with the adventure paths is that you'd have an adventure, but you'd also have this lore article that accompanied it, and every issue would have its sort of mirror article. I think it was a great idea.
Plus, they had the web enhancements too.
Yes,
which separated the map content out. Like, for example, so this was 139. I have the web enhancer for this. Look, boom, look at this. I could just cut and paste any of this stuff. This was genius back then. Anything that's maps or pictures or artwork, I want to use in my campaign. Look at that. There's the Sasserine map.
We lost a lot of potential when Paizo lost GREYHAWK license.
Anna, did you see all these?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you got all those? Yeah.
Gary, you were talking about
I've seen them. Sorry.
No, I'm just going to throw out real quick. Gary was earlier talking about how in fandom we've put out a lot of graphic material. I think side by side, the Paizo era is equal to the TSR era in material.
I'll give you this. The Paizo era is way ahead of its time in innovation, and a lot of interconnecting of characters, story plot line. But I think if you dig deep enough in like 80 and 83, right? It's make GREYHAWK your own. I mean, without that, you're not going to have anything in the future. So I think they're pretty even. But that's a good point, Mike.
Yeah, which one was this?
This is the web enhancement. This is 139 in the web enhancement.
139. Okay, thank you.
In the web enhancement.
Yeah.
It would be interesting, Mike, to get like a word count from the different eras. First edition GREYHAWK, second Sergeant Hawk, Paizo Hawk.
Age of Worms was a massive
Oh yeah.
thing as well.
Oh, huge.
And
Yeah,
even while they were putting out those on a monthly basis, there
Yep.
were other Greyhawk themed shorter form things. So it's just like so much Greyhawk that I couldn't process it all back then.
Yeah. These are on my list to do heraldry.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Mhm.
they're pretty neat. So
Yep.
a lot of stuff had really, back then in this era, it was just. And
Yeah.
for me though, I missed a lot of it back then because we're running our own campaign. It's all third edition. Living Greyhawk is out there, and I'm just like, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing to join Living. Maybe I should have done both, but
I mean, Greyhawk was the #1 topic of those zines in that era,
mm-hmm.
no
Yep.
doubt, and
Yep.
that's largely due to Eric's influence.
Very true. Alrighty, Anna, you got something for us?
Yeah, I have a Dragon 52. Have 3 articles that I think are interesting.
That's during the glory era of Dragon magazine.
Yes.
1 second, let me. I definitely have that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Only takes me a couple seconds here to find the subfolder for all dragons, and then go to 52 and does.
3, I think, really good ones that are not because the end result is that good, but they were thoughtful and they made me think, and think about the game a lot. So I really like them. So on page 8, there is "This Land is My Land" article that I think it's cool. It's about clerics and
This roll the cleric.
druids and "This Land is My Land" is on page 8.
Oh, that's 8.
Next one, yeah. There you
Okay.
go. Yeah, it's a short one too. So that basically tells about that clerics and druids and stuff can draw power from the land and stuff. This is kind of a primer on primal magic that came in 4th edition
Okay.
and stuff. So it was just got me thinking a bit. So this article, it's great, not because it draws conclusions, but because it starts thinking about things. It made me question what I was doing and what the game was doing. So I love this article for that sense. It digs into power areas and stuff like that. So it's a home turf for clerics and stuff for gods and stuff. And then we have on page 10, there is a follow-up on that one, "The Sense of Sacrifices," meaning that is the sacrifices and what to sacrifice, how and why, and a little bit what can happen, and some magic to around that, and resurrection and stuff. Same thing. It was an article that made me start thinking and made my cogs here in my head start spinning a bit. And that was a lot of my thinking around these things started with these articles when I read them many years ago. So they were fantastic in that sense. Not because they were great articles about D&D in a lot of sense, but it made me think. And then I think the crown jewel on this issue is the "Knock Knock: The History of Siege Warfare" on page 51. An excellent article about siege warfare. And he also has a primer on Boris Vallejo, the artist, with pictures and stuff, which I think is kind of cool because he's very.
It's not an Ed Greenwood monster I've never heard of. From
Mhm.
Rombrusum.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yep.
Knock knock.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's a good one. It's a great one, but Michael Clouvet or Clover, or however you pronounce it.
The real world military science articles were always really cool.
Yep.
It's so hard to do sieges in the game. I've done it, and it's I got the actual even miniatures for it, the battering rams and all the siege towers. It's tough. It's tough to do it.
Lots of them. It's fun. The 3rd edition had started having good rules for siege weapons and stuff. Pathfinder had lots of rules too, which was kind of cool. But you have rules for. Oh, sorry.
Was it on mass combat scale or was it on individual scale?
Well, you run both. You run the characters at the individual scale, and then you run the surroundings on a mass scale.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
And then you run and then when the characters are up against a lot of them, you run them using either a damage pool for the enemies, or you can use them as minions, or a combination of it, so to speak. So I had like important enemies, full rules, and less important enemies, damage pool, and just the cannon fodder, just minion rules. And that works really well because that way you can keep track of 200, 500 enemies. It doesn't matter. They come in, and then you have a few 10 elite ones that you have a damage pool, and one big bad nasty one that you run full. That's the only one you need to track individual hit points for. All the other ones is simply do more than this damage, you just take away some. So damage pools are a little bit more accurate, but they're not more difficult than to run minions.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's awesome. Damage pool, you simply have, if you have 10 enemies, you simply say all these, every time you do X amount of damage, you remove one of those monsters in that pool, so to speak. And that way you can run 50 of them, and they have like 500 points, and every time you do 20 hit points, you just remove one or something, whatever points or numbers depending on how many hit points they have and stuff. So it's kind of cool. Or minion rules, you do more than 12 points of damage and they're done,
Okay.
or more than 5 points, or 1 point if it's just minuscule ones like skeletons or zombies or something. You just
Yeah.
hit them and they're done. Yeah.
I always look forward to those articles by Catherine Kerr.
Yeah, exactly. I
yeah.
have several. I have like 4 or 5 of them on my list. She is fantastic. She
there's-
was awesome with her. Yeah. Mhm.
I remember one about an army travels on its stomach.
That's on my list here. Yeah, that's one of the best dragon articles because they made
what
you
dragon
think.
number is that?
Hang on a second. That is travel 94, page 12. Yeah.
Let me see if I have it.
She
I
wrote
do.
fantastic articles. Yeah.
Oh, it's not an iconic cover.
Yeah. Third edition had a whole book about military campaigns. Order of Battle, I think, was the name. That took a lot of inspiration from the Siege article and her articles and stuff. So Pathfinder first edition also had
There
a
we
lot of stuff. Yep.
An army travels.
Yep.
on
It's about
on its stomach.
logistics that I think is really, really cool. Yep.
Okay. Large scale logistics in a fantasy world.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Living off the land, yeah. Food
Did
production.
she write Who Lives in That Castle? That's another great one from Dragon 80. No, I don't think she wrote it. So
I'm
yeah.
not sure.
Yeah, but
I love
this
seeing
is
all the old articles, old
yeah,
ads too.
yeah. This is one. Yeah, this is one of the
look at the
gems of
bibliography.
that really made me start thinking too.
All right. Just checking the bibliography on that. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great one.
All right. Gary, do you have something? Oh, you're muted, Gary, if you're talking. Oh, maybe you had to go AFK.
He is not talking.
All right, maybe you had to go AFK for a sec. All right, Mike, what do you got?
Well, here's another outlier for Dragon Magazine. I got Dragon Annual number 3.
Okay.
Noel Graham did a Bazaar the Bazaar called Falcon's Bazaar.
Yeah, let me see here. I thought I had the Dragon Annuals on here. I'm
No?
not sure if I do, but that's okay. We can discuss it. Yeah.
So
Dragons.
what this is Falcon's Bazaar is sort of a odd assortment of mundane items set in the world of Greyhawk. So you got stuff like it references Galda fruit and Frostwood and etc.
What page is that on? Here's Dragon 3.
96.
Okay, here it is, Dragon Annual 1998. There it is.
So around that same time, there was a book for Forgotten Realms called Aurora's.
Oh
Aurora's
shit! There we
Bazaar or
go.
something
There it
like that.
happened.
Bloop.
There we go. Always hit that
And
button. It always flips.
My players love poring over books of mundane items to buy, and this article kind of fits that bill. It's a bunch of
They're
just
like,
random stuff.
Will Mike let us have this stuff?
Yeah.
It's in Dragon.
I know I have this. I've used this because there's
Yeah.
great dwarven spells in here that I put in the Clangeddon spell list for a specialty priest. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff here, like honey dust.
And I just,
It's all non-magical.
in my brain, I would love to do more of those, like on my blog or otherwise. But it really takes a creative person like old Graham apparently to come up with this assortment of stuff.
Yeah, and like it has Greyhawk references in here. Talwuk and the Yomi Sea Prince lands where rain is plentiful. Local troops have fashioned the Talwuk, which best translates as rain tabard,
Oh, yeah.
for keeping armor and body dry.
I mean, you could do
That's cool.
dozens of articles like this if you just really think about all the countries and what they produce and
Yeah,
the thematic stuff.
Definitely.
that's a good one. So if we scroll, let me see here. Let me go back to the top. So
Like the Greyhawk Adventures hardcover had those magical items that were customized to different realms.
they were beautiful.
Yes.
So let's see here. The Bazaar. I'm just looking here. I mean, more Ed stuff in here, of course. There's Falcon's Bazaar. I don't see it. I just went by it and I don't see it now.
Did they stop doing annuals shortly?
They went
after
through
that?
5. I think there's
Five?
5 annuals.
Yeah.
I think
they
that's it.
stopped pretty early in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, let's take a look at this. Weapon Masters of the Flannis, page 18. I don't even. Let me see. By Lloyd Brown III.
Yeah.
Great heroes fill Greyhawk setting. Brave knights. So there's academies in here. Holy jeez. Look at this.
I don't remember this article.
No, look at this. We found a diamond in the rough, everyone. Academy of the Soul. Hole in the Secret Form. Remember the Scarlet Brotherhood.
Which one are you in now?
Dragon Annual 3. Weapon Masters of the Flannis. Because I have the Weapon Master now in my game. As an ability for fighters. Almost your name there. Holin, not close there, Gary. Holin. Let's see where other locations. Kurlatz's Training Hall.
Awesome.
High Folk Archery School.
We might all have to go read this one and then come back down the road.
Jarash of Lukish. The Holy Training Hall of the Heart.
Don't let Rich know about this.
Here's some new equipment too. Bird arrows, training swords. All right. Well, there you go. I'm gonna note this myself.
Yeah.
Just saw it and I was like, wow. Seriously, I mean, just to think, I don't recall ever discussing this. DA3, page 18. Weapon Masters.
That guy's face is kind of sus.
Hmm.
Something going on there.
Lloyd Brown. Okay. Very cool. You do remember it, Rick? I don't. So, yeah. Awesome. Alrighty. Good one, Mike. I have annual 3 and 4 on here.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I need to bring up. All right. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to tie 2 articles together and just show when you semi-collaborate what you can do. Right, Gary?
Don't cross the stream.
Let me go to Earth Journal 34. All right. Okay, Earth Journal 34.
By the way, I think the Earth Journal What If issue was brilliant. I mean, it was a really good idea, and it had a lot of fun articles in it.
It did, but we're going right here. St. Benedor.
Oh, my gosh.
Ancient opponent of the Death Knights. So, hey, darling. So for all you Greyhawkers here, we're talking our favorite periodical articles for Greyhawk or for other things out of Dragon Dungeon. We're in Earth Journal now. We're going to show And if you know, I'm a big fan of the deity Saint Benedor, and we're going to talk about that right now. As we're going to tie these two articles together. Exclamation point drawing. We're going to give away 2 publications to the winner. Classic D&D reprint. So we're going to go down here. It looks like page 21. That's weird how the numbers are out of order there. It's kind of strange. But who am I to question why? All right. So Gary, you did a lot of detail on, and I have a reason for discussing this too. There we go. All right. So the Bane of the Death Knights. So where did Benedor start? Where does the word of Benedor come from?
Yeah, so I was developing the Death Knights material in my campaign in the late '80s, and I always felt like you needed a kind of tragic hero in the Great Kingdom, another good figure. I mean, GREYHAWK, let's face it, a lot of the best characters are all evil or neutral, and there isn't a lot of material on the good side of the ledger. And so the name is an homage to Scott Benny. So, but it also is sort of Latin for good and well. So it kind of resonated that way. So I said, I'm going to create this figure who essentially dates back to when the Death Knights were created and kind of has been their, nemesis for the entire time and has become something of a godling. And it followed from things I did with the Orb of Saul and Saint Kargoth and his release of certain creatures upon the Great Kingdom, which is all kind of hinted at in various bits of lore. Like Scott Benny's article kind of gives me a little bit of a roadmap for what Saint Kargoth did.
Right.
But then I'm like, okay, well now I get to have fun. And Kargoth is set. Now I get to have fun and just create a whole bunch of more Death Knights with my own creativity and this one character. And I wrote his God write-up in that article in the style of a 1E God write-up. So with all the class powers and
right, yeah, absolutely,
psionics and everything.
And we need to pilfer some of this with your permission for our Luke project.
Oh, already permitted. Yep.
Awesome. So, and you got your abilities here in first edition. The White Guard. I mean, it's a long article, which is great. There's a lot of information here.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to put together.
Yeah. So it
Yeah,
goes all the way down
the
to
comeliness on there.
Yes. you need the 1E comeliness.
Yes, we have to, and then tie that into this. So, my God, I have so much open now. Here comes it. I did the priest of Saint Benedor in Visions. This is our first Visions. Visions 2. Okay, so and I have this priest of Saint Benedor showing. There's a great Anna map of Keeland, where the Winchesters and the Rothschilds are from, and all their abilities are here. Even described a character in here, and that note, and I link that to Earth Journal 34 that Gary wrote. All right, so and that's how take an idea from something, move it into something else. Move it into my.
That's what happens when fans essentially create things that look like professional zines. Is that you start to get a lot of synergies. People
exactly
see your article and then incorporate that material into theirs, and trust me, it's a lot faster to have somebody else write stuff for you than to write it yourself.
100%.
So
now, Saturday morning during our 24-hour stream.
Mm-hmm.
This is artwork, and this is Yvette Ilthal. This is Rachel's character from Marquee Gaming. She's a priestess of Saint Benedor,
nice.
And she's got the scar on her hand. That's what she's showing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so there you go, and that takes it one
Very
step
cool.
further. Custom, artwork done by her for Saint Benedor for her character.
It's a mortification, kind of like if you guys remember that '70s kung fu show when they had to lift the burning hot bowl in their arms. Yeah. So, it's a sign of your sacrifice.
Why is Sam coughing? I hate to say that in chat. That always scares me.
Someone get that man a lozenge.
Yeah, you're right there, Sam. I don't want to choke or anything. So, yeah. So there you go. So that's a double connection there.
That's
Now
awesome.
let me close out a couple of these before I crash everything.
All right, so I'm going to go really weird with my next favorite choice.
Okay, that's weird's fine.
It's not even Greyhawk.
Okay, that's fair enough.
So one of my favorite articles to read, and this series caused me to go run to the gaming store to get Dragon as soon as it arrived.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Voyage of the Princess Ark by Bruce Hurd.
Mm-hmm.
So it was for the known world of Mystara. And essentially it was a sort of a travel series where he, revealed, he extended the known world by essentially creating a artificial plot that would take you around the world in a chase. It had that around the world in 80 days feel. He had the good guys in an airship being followed by, bad guys, the Heldanic
Travel
Knights.
log.
Yeah. And in the beginning, I just thought it was the most amazing thing because it was like such a creative way to put lore down, right? You could write a gazetteer, but that's a little dry. If you also kind of make it almost like a novella, it really brings it to life, and the characters really. Now, the series lasted a long time, and towards the end, it was getting a little silly for my taste. I mean, you started to get a lot of like animal races.
Do we have a dragon? I'll bring one up. Do we know?
I can't remember if there was like these like turtles who were Western cowboys or something. It
Was that the Savage Coast?
Yeah, it was getting a little silly. But
it's all Mystara. Okay, cool.
But it was all Mystara, and it was just so creative for the time. It was definitely.
Was it early? Was it the early dragons or mid dragons?
It was, I think, started 153.
Okay,
maybe?
so it's in the middle. Those middle
It's in
areas.
the
I may
middle.
not have any of those.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Princess. I'm just gonna put Princess Ark.
Yes, Voyage of the Princess Ark.
All right. I'm just here. Let's just see if there's one in 188. I just threw that up, and it. I'm looking for Bruce Hurd. I don't know why it said that this was one that was good. I typed Princess Ark in, and this came up.
But it was pretty. I mean, I always wanted to do one of these for Greyhawk because it was so addictive.
There it is.
It would be like an article, and then it would kind of end almost like on a cliffhanger, and you had to wait till the next issue to find out what happened next.
Oh, here it is. Part 35. Holy jeez. All right, so here's one. It was good until it went into space. All right, there you go. Voyage of the Princess Ark.
That was a really long series of articles, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
I think I saw it for
don't know,
years.
was it ever compiled into a Mystara book?
I don't think so. Yeah, because it kind of vanished away when the TSR started to get so much trouble, financial troubles and stuff. So things just pewtered away, disappeared, so to speak, into nothing. Yeah.
I mean, it really it was almost like like Star Trek. The ship would dock, and then people would go on away missions down to the surface.
The idea is really cool. You could do it for like a regular, So
yeah,
and
have a
there's
ship.
maps to follow along.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Mystara is always known for the hex, right? Like this. This is Mystara.
Oh yeah, and they came out. I'll see if I can find. They came little folded ones that were huge maps. Probably the biggest maps TSR has ever printed was enormous versions of this with hexes on.
Okay.
And of the known world, I think it was called then before it was called Mystara, and they were little looked like candy wrappers almost, and then you
Trail
open them
maps.
up and like trail maps things. Yeah.
Huh.
That was the coolest map products TSR ever published.
I want to
these.
say I have one of them, but
Yeah, I have
where,
two of
no
them.
idea.
So, or two or three. I think it was two that I got two, but I forgot where they ended up. But they're somewhere in here. Yeah.
I'm honestly sad
And they
to
were
say
enormous. Yeah.
I have never read a single article. Not one of them.
Wow.
I
okay.
think
No, I
I think they didn't contain Greyhawk, so I think I skimmed over them too.
I'm with Gary. I was very captivated by that series, and
Very cool.
not
People enjoy.
playing Mystara or anything. It
Right.
was
Yeah.
something I always looked forward to.
Yeah.
It was kind of sad when I actually have to talk to Bruce Hurd at Gen Con and was like, I didn't read your articles.
There was a period when TSR could count on me buying almost everything they produced. I bought all the 1E Forgotten Realms material. Great gazetteers in the 1E Forgotten Realms. I bought Dark Sun and Ravenloft, and Dark Sun was super creative, and you definitely could, get inspiration from them too. But, once they canceled GREYHAWK, they had gone too far. So,
Yeah. Well, this is still 2E era. These and
Yes.
150, yeah.
It started
Yeah.
in the 2E era.
Yeah, 2E era. So, okay. Well, that's awesome, guy. I did not know that. Did not
Yeah,
know how much you
Bruce
liked.
Hurd. I don't know if Bruce is still around, but
Yeah, he is.
He would definitely be a good guest, I think.
Oh yeah, he's around. Yeah.
Does a lot of things. Yeah, absolutely. I think he still lives up there. Isn't he play? I think, if I recall, now I could be wrong, but who does Tom Wham does all the board gaming, right? Does all the board
I'm not
games
sure.
he makes
Yeah.
up, right? So Tom Wham and Bruce Hurd, I think, do a lot of board game testing, and Josh Pop goes up there with them like once
Okay.
every couple months and plays board games with them. I think it's Wham and Hurd. Yeah, we can ask him, but I don't think he's on tonight. But yeah, so very cool, awesome. All right, who's got one for next?
I have one from Dragon 67. It's not an ecology, but it's kind of a sister article to the ecologies. It's not ecology of a monster, but it's souping up the spider. And I think it was a great example of what you can do with when you, since there are spiders, is one of the themes. Is spiders are scary, so big spiders are kind of a common trope, and it's someone who at least know a little bit thing or two about spiders that wrote an article, and I think it's a great example. There are a couple of misses in there. I think that turned out that good, but it's a lot of cool examples of what you can do with a monster if you look at how the real spiders work and then you scale it up and you start thinking about it. So you had a bunch of examples of cool kind of spiders and stuff. And since this is first edition,
There's
a lot of there's a lot of page 15. Yep.
Yeah,
Greg Chamberlain.
Here's a lot of spells in here that are going in Arcana that are in here.
Mm-hmm.
Here they are. There's a lot of pre adding into Arcana. There's Tasha's uncontrollable hideous laughter there, right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, here. Wait a minute, that's not it, is it?
No,
that's Valley Elves,
page 15. Page 15.
Almost there.
There you go. Yeah. So it's an awesome article that talks about spiders and how they work and live and hunt and stuff like that. So you can get a lot of not only the stats, but primarily you get a lot of ideas on how to run spiders and how to make your own versions of scary spiders and stuff. So that's the kind of article I love, that stuff like that.
And I'm going to throw a card on that. I'm going to veto your spiders because I like
Nightmare fuel.
I'm joking.
That's funny.
No, but the nightmare fuel, I think that's the that's the point with this article. You make them even more nightmarish if you know cool stuff about them, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me. Look at all these spiders.
Yeah, so it's an article that makes me think. And,
that's good.
And I love those articles that made me question things and think outside the box, so to speak.
It definitely didn't have to be a GREYHAWK article to be super useful for a GREYHAWK campaign.
Oh no, definitely not.
I mean, I loved Roger's point of view articles of the various demi-humans and humans.
Yeah, that's all throughout. That's earlier, a little bit earlier than this. Like, so if we go to what I think is the best dragon of all time. Well, it's just an opinion.
we should do another poll.
Oh no.
Dragon 60. It's almost all Roger Moore, right? And when Dragon 60, we come down here and we got all about elves, right? But throughout this, a lot of this stuff comes in Best of Dragon Volume 3. But something that gets missed in Best of Dragon Volume 3, here's all the gods of the elves that he does, and the artwork's great, and hey, no more. All I have is Corella. Now I can have other deities, right? Finally from deities to demigod. But you come down, and it should be coming up.
I'll say there is a subset of GREYHAWK fans who do not like those to use those gods in their Greyhawk.
Really?
Yes.
I like them. I like them a lot.
I do too.
This article disappears in Best of Dragon Volume 3, and it's short. It's one page. But I think people who play Half-Elf should read it on the Half-Elven point of view. It's really a good article on because they don't really fit into either or, and they're not. Our Half-Elves are not Elrond. Let's be honest.
What issue?
There's 60.
60. Thank
60,
you.
yeah, and it's on one page 14. It's after the Elven point of view, and the deities. All right, so that's 60, and then here we go. Cantrips, I can pass on that. I hate cantrips. Sorry, Anna.
No
cantrips
worries.
are fine. I'm just saying cantrips are in here. We continue downward. Okay, we got a Ned Greenwood article in here on firearms. Good, Ed. Thanks, man. Yes, Ed's one of my favorite games of all the old days, an Aftermath article. More guns. Ed is crazy. Werewolf, which is a
He
really
wants to
cool
cover
story.
all the bases. Yep.
Yeah, Werewolf's a cool story. We keep on going. We got more great stuff coming. There's a nice game, Flight of the Boodles. Is that Tom Wham? Probably is. That's Tom Wham. That's definitely Tom Wham. Yep, there you go.
I just happened to have a small stack next to me, and this was one of them.
Roger Moore puts the jester in here. Yes, which I use because it just annoys the hell out of people. Thanks, Brungal. The jester. And then he continues it with one of my favorite Arthur Collins, the Dermid's Last Jest, which I use for my bards. He who laughs longest. It's about people, a special ability bards get that can make people die laughing, which I think is really awesome. So I utilize that, and then of course my favorite, the midgets in the earth. This is Roger Moore. I think when Roger Moore was doing a little weed here, wacky weed. So he's got the Cobalt Commando leader, Eubenhad, and Mork the Orc, right? So, yes, but Eubenhad is fantastic. Eubenhad's the leader of Spunk. So I have Spunk now in mind. Artwork that Fulfogo never finished. And look, here's your Dragon's Bestiary. And now this must have been a what do you call it? An April Fool's article. The Jolly Green Giant, Donald Duck, the Tasmanian Devil. I mean, come on. Why? But Michael Nistel, Tom Moldvay. I mean, these are legends writing this shit. Steve Sullivan. I mean, there's right writing all this stuff. The Martian, Zeb Cook, right? So the Martian. Baseball Bugbears. Oh my God, the Were Beaver. That's enough of that. But you get the idea. There's some cool stuff in there. I think it's the Elven point of view and the Elven articles are the best in here. So, yep. Boom. All right. Thanks, Brungal. What do we got? Someone else got something? I think I have. Do I have any others that are not dragon? Give it to it.
Does anybody have one from the old Greyhawk Grimoire? Randy Richards zine.
No.
No.
Because that had a couple of issues. There was also, I think, a one-off zine called the Greyhawk Netbook, which had my first ever online article back in '92.
Wow.
That used to be on your AOL archive, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't have. Yeah.
I'm looking for it now, and I don't find any website that's hosting it.
Yeah.
And you don't have a copy of it? Yep.
They may, but it's buried somewhere.
Oh my gosh, Anna! In that time, there wasn't even PDFs. Everything was in a text format. It was very painful.
We just recently discussed this. This is Dragon 230, but this is penultimate article on
That's a good one.
On the Orbs of Dragonkind by Roger Moore. You want to? Which one is that? Right there. Oh, how'd you know, Mike? Were you going to go to that one? Wow. That is but what a great article. The detail on this is fantastic. And if everyone remembers, if you were around, which most of you weren't, the 7th orb, the Orb of the Elder Worm was the focus of Virtual Greyhawk. I'm sorry, the first ever St. Jude fundraiser event way back, #1.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now we can't see, but Mike is actually Hextor, and his other 4 arms are pulling these.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, Curtis, you like the Jester?
That's Roger Moore.
Yeah,
Also.
more Roger Moore, absolutely.
I did like this article, and I feel like tying the orbs to the Soul made a lot of sense. It resonates now a lot now that we have George R.R. Martin's books about the Valyrians, because it really does make the Soul feel like the Valyrians, the ancient Soul.
This is a good issue. Look, Worms of the North.
Yeah.
That was a good series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of yeah. Oh, I don't have 230 up here. I just have the Orb article. Hold on one second. I know I had 230 prepped. Yeah. Yeah, I mean this is a really good dragon. 230. What else? What other good things are in here? Dragon Slayers, Wolfgang Bauer on Dragon Slayers, John Ratliff on Dragons of Legend, Ed Stark again. Ed Stark, Fire on the Five Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Greenwood, Worms of the North. Yeah, there's a lot in here on some big names in this dragon one. So I don't know much about the Fifth Age here, so I can't comment on that. Alrighty, let me go back here. What time we got? All right, we're almost there. Let me see what I missed out of my I think I covered everything. How about you, Anna? You got any left?
I have one from Catherine Kerr. 80 number Dragon 80.
Yeah, I
Who
should have
lives
that.
in that castle? She wrote.
Oh,
that,
so it is
that
hers.
article.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
that's her. That's a fantastic article
So
that she wrote. That is about how to staff a castle and how to run it and stuff. That's wonderful background information if you want to run like a festivities or a battle
My God, it'll
or
have 80 on here.
siege or
Holy
just
shit.
visit a castle or lord or something like that. It's great.
I have 71 to 79 and 81, 82.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. It's
80.
not. You don't have to show it, but it's
Yeah.
Dragon 80, and it's on page 22, and it's what is it, like 5 pages or something like that. Yep, 5-6 pages, and it's a
That's
great
awesome.
article. Yep.
And I used to combine that. It's not a dragon article, but if anybody ever read the book Castle by David Macaulay, it was also a PBS documentary.
Oh,
Yeah.
It
really?
also was very real
Huh.
history. You know, what is a castle? How does the castle really work?
Yep. Yep, there's some fantastic. I have one more that I need to mention from Dragon 89. Survival is a
Hey, Rob.
group effort. That is a fantastic article. It's fantasy demographics. It takes up birth rates and how quickly can an orc tribe become a menace and
Oh, wow.
and so yeah, that is a fantastic article. It's about fantasy demographics and
Let me see that one
demographics
here.
is very interesting in the real world, but it's even more interesting in a fantasy world
Oh.
because you can have so many variations from dragons that take 600 years between generations or and who knows about beholders and demographics and
That is
that-
Lord Brezen's favorite topic.
Exactly. I was going to say that. Yeah, we've talked about Rich. I mean, we talked about this a bit. So it's a fantastic article that any world builder worthy of its salt should read that one. So survival is a group effort. Dragon 89, page 10. Yep.
Okay.
How about we could end with a dragon or other zine article that kind of made you upset or was negative? And
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna start
I
with
heard you
one
mention that.
with it just kicked me in the teeth because I didn't even know what was happening. Because you know, in the '80s, it's like you're not privy to all these shenanigans going on in the background. But I picked up this issue in the mid '80s, and it was Gygax's farewell letter.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah, that
And I was just like,
mhm.
oh my God, my world just fall apart because I was like, I'm not gonna get any more GREYHAWK material. I'm not gonna, you know.
I got to think about that.
That was such a punch in the gut.
Wow.
And then as a second contender, it would be the article that published in the mid 90s, a piece of Ivid the Undying. And I was like, that was even more outrageous. It was like, you guys have a whole book and you're only going to give us a little piece of it?
Yeah, how did the whole book finally get out?
The fans just tore them apart. I mean, on AOL and other I mean, they were just like, you know, you guys got to give us this book. And they finally relented and did give us a rich text format copy of it. And then a lot of fans have gone on to format it in PDF and make it nice looking.
Yeah, because the cover is from what do you call it? The last setting that came out isn't. Oh my God.
Yeah, people have proposed a
Yeah.
couple of covers to it. Yeah, I don't know if those were the intended covers, but
Yeah.
it is
Birthright.
amazing. It does tell you something about the economics of these books. That they
Right.
they could shelve a book that they already paid for, that they already laid out and stuff. It means that the money isn't there. It's in the other side of the deal with the publisher and the
I'm trying to
stuff. So that
think. Trying to think of a bit something that really irked me.
yeah, was there an article, Jay, that you were like,
There,
screw this, I'm not using this?
well, those I tend to forget pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Like the stuff that no, I don't want to bash anyone, but like the amount of cataclysm that occurred in Living Greyhawk era, that always stuck with me. As I'm not implementing all this. I mean, Karstein died twice, not once, twice. You know.
The fall of 10 to the ether creatures.
Well, that they were doing that when he was drunk, so I find that amusing, actually, right? But like, Eyes already slaughtered them, but yeah, that's kind of the it just was like a lot of craziness going on then. I don't know, and like I said, I'm not a fan. The thing that really Filler to Blue drives me nuts. That I just don't get Filler to Blue at all. I don't need. I mean, it's like why are you throwing these and the moon whatever moonbow? Those drive me crazy.
If there's one criticism I'd have of Sargent is that he was really into Tolkien and put a lot of Tolkien-esque themes into Greyhawk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Philidor was his attempt to create sort of a Gandalf the Grey, a Gandalf the Blue.
Yeah.
With mysterious origins that are here to help the elves and the humans against Ayus. It was just too obvious. I mean, and that runs counter to Greyhawk, because in Greyhawk the heroes are the players. The players should be the heroes.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and that's just one of the reasons why I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
The Knights of Luna I can't stand either.
No, I like the idea.
The idea is one thing. I just don't like the implementation.
Well, I usually go with I read the idea and then I skip the implementation and go with my own implementation. That's usually how it works.
A lot of stuff can be salvaged if you just
I love the idea of the Knights of Luna. It's and run by Melf. I think it's awesome. Yeah.
But Luke hates it.
I know. And I didn't know that when I started liking it. I didn't know. Yeah.
How about you, Mike? You're just like everything.
I don't think there's a Greyhawk arc I ever saw come out in Dragon and Dungeon that I disliked, except for that damn map.
Right.
The Dragon Annual.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the bottom.
Dragon. I don't have Dragon Annual 1 on my machine, or I'd bring it up.
That map
that looms so large in my brain that I couldn't even begin to sort the rest.
Yeah, but the map is so bad that I'm starting to think it's done a good thing by being so bad.
It can only go up from people. There. Yes. And it has.
Yeah. It's a shame. There's so many, like early on, so many great tidbits. I mean, I always looked for a Greyhawk connection, or I looked for something that I could utilize, and like lens classes we didn't even touch on. I didn't even show the Archer class, the Death Master, the Duelist, the Bandit.
No, but you talked about them.
I've talked about them in the past, so we don't need to go back there and show them. I showed the Anti-Paladin because that was, way back in the day. But like, there's no need to show all that stuff but like, there's so many tidbits. The one that I missed that I like, and I'm not going to bring it up because I showed it a couple months ago, is there's a supplement to the Celtic Deities article. I think it's in 69, Dragon 69. It's fantastic. And because we use a lot of Celtic deities, we use Celtic and a lot of Finnish. That was a good.
I had to quickly mention, because I tried, to stay on topic with Greyhawk, but I just, since we were talking about random issues and whatnot, I had to grab my notebook for my current campaign. There's 2 articles that I still use to this day because I've cut them out of the magazine.
Nice.
I like them. So this one's Bruce Barber. Was it worth the risk? It's It's a bunch of random charts for pickpocket
Ah.
victims.
That's awesome.
I get so much play out of that. And then this other one is the well-equipped victim by Ed
Yes.
Greenwood,
Mhm.
which gives you some nice
I've-
tables on what NPCs have
Mhm.
on them. And like I said, these are 1E articles I clipped out of the magazine.
I mean, they're
and
timeless.
I still have them.
And you still, and because you must have a lot of pickpocketing in your
use
game,
them.
right? Yes.
Or just if they want a random NPC,
Yeah, that's smart.
talk to, I just roll on the pickpocket list.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's it.
I get a lot of play out of it.
That's right, Mike. That's right, Rob. Living Greyhawk was someone else's campaign. You got it. Exactly correct. 100%. But that's okay. That's okay. Didn't affect the all the publications and stuff and the great works that come out. And I got ideas myself. We talked about them last. We talked about them Sunday night, like the special. When they prestige classed the Knights of Holy Shielding, I backed it into a 1E class. So it's some good stuff came out, but it's just like some of the stuff. It's good.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn about that because there was a trend, especially in 3rd edition, where every organization had to become a prestige class, and I don't think that's always necessary.
No.
No, I don't like the idea of making everything like that into mechanics, but I don't like the
exactly.
class concept of that idea either. It's like just because you're a member of an organization doesn't mean that you have this mechanics and you know these things. That to me is kind of anathema completely.
Yeah, Moose. I cannot remember. What's the one with all it had the European feel, like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay? Birthright. I thought it was a Birthright cover, the Ivid.
Mm-hmm.
It was also a Birthright cover. I am not sure 100% if it is or not, but I thought it was. So, all right. Any final thoughts here on this discussion? Gary, thanks for coming on. What are your final thoughts here? I know we barely scratched the surface.
Exactly. I mean, you could do this show and not mention any of these articles from today and still have a whole show. But yeah, it's just amazing how useful these zines were to filling in the details of your campaign or giving you creative ideas for expanding your campaign. It's a shame. I mean, 1977 to 2007 or whatever was quite an era.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. But the good thing is now we have, Visions and Grey Grimoire are coming out with great ideas too. So we're seeing
absolutely.
that, and that's what's so wonderful.
But in the back of Visions or Grimoire, you can't buy X-ray glasses.
Yeah. No. Birthright was
But no, exciting stuff coming for sure. And we'll probably be doing a show. There may actually be a little surprise release on Saturday to coincide with Jay's show. So I'll...
On Saturday with my 24-hour stream?
Your adventure, yes.
Oh, Balchin's Beacon adventure. Yes. Awesome. Oh, we'll talk about that in a second. A Buck Rogers show, Prof? No. I'm trying to quit. Yes. So, Mike, what are your thoughts?
My remaining notes I set aside, so be sure to take a note to do this again soon.
Yes, I think the next one we'll do when we're really down the road is we'll do the ecology ones. I think that's a good one. Go through all the ecologies. Yeah,
do ecologies, bizarre. Do a up on the soapbox one where you just talk about the things that bug you the most about Greyhawk.
Yeah. Well, remember I did the 10 things I hate about Greyhawk once. I did that already, but there's other little tidbits. Yes, like I can't stand Zeech. I can't stand him.
I like Zeech.
I hate.
He's
Zeech.
Fashionable these days. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
he's very fashionable. He's right in the ballpark right now. He's modern and contemporary. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, to each his own, right? So, all right. Anyone want to shout out? What's going on? What we got going on? I'm just working on old/new artwork for Virtual GrowCon, by the way, everyone.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And on Friday the 11th. Instead of there will be no on this Friday. There will probably not be a. Well, we'll see. I might do a stream on Friday. I'm not sure yet since it's 4th, so we'll see. But hopefully there will be a stream on Friday. I can't guarantee it. We'll see if I pop in or not. But
Yeah,
next Friday on the 11th, I will celebrate 1,000 patrons. So I'm gearing up stuff for that, so to speak. So that will be Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific or 9 p.m. Eastern. The sign up for my Patreon free tier. You don't have to pay anything. You can just sign up and do the free tier, and I will put the links, and you can sign up for. There is a post about that on my Patreon blog where you can sign up on my Discord. So I will post Zoom links and stuff both on Patreon and I will post a little bit about question stuff. So they will be like, of course, ask me anything. I will talk a little bit about stuff that are in the making. I will talk a little bit about stuff that are further in the future because there's some new cool developments on that front too, and a bit of other projects. And also, please tell me what you want me to do and stuff like that too. So yeah. And stuff. And we can also go over a little bit about geo packages and a bunch of other stuff, so to speak. So yeah.
So this was for Virtual GreyHawk 2. We barely used it. It's like the most expensive piece of art I've ever bought in my life. So Anna's recolorizing it. So we're gonna return to GreyHawk. Yeah, we're gonna use this great piece, which we barely got any use out of back then. So we'll have that recolorized for the future. So that'll be that. So very cool, Anna. Well, thanks a lot. Fun show. Absolutely. Yeah. Mike, anything to shout out?
I got comic.
Here we go.
Cultists.
Oh yes, I love the cultists.
Yep.
You realize that Wizard of the Coast chose purple for because of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's his color now. Yeah.
Someone needs to do a cultist cosplay.
Yeah.
That's funny. Nice. That's an awesome one. Super cool, man.
I'm well ahead on my weekly comic schedule. I think I got comics done through the end of the year already.
Oh.
Laris Revenge, man. Gosh. So how about you, Gary? Close it out?
Yeah, now that summer's started, I've gotten a lot more time, so I'm going to be updating Canonfire's website, making it a little more modern and linking a lot of the more current stuff. And then Visions 4 and 5 will drop this summer. So,
nice.
A lot of extra new content.
And a surprise for Saturday? Wow. Well, let's see where we're going to be. So I got the table set up for tomorrow. See, this is a problem. I got a game tomorrow. It's a special game too. And then I got to tear this down. I got the underlays preset, and then I got terrain that came from Jeremy. I got a major undertaking Friday, sometime during July 4th, before we go out to get the terrain on the table. But this is set for tomorrow, and so this is this is a new test. I have two of my guys out, so I only have Tom and Walt. So we're going to do what's like an academy game. So I got, now Coco's played a lot, but Stars played like 3-4 times. Rogue Chick and Sage have only played once. So I'm going to let the veterans and them play together, and we're going to do an adventure. It's the Champions of Avon group on a possible mission. So the two of Walt and Tom's characters are from the Norwell Headhunters are going to be hiring this group in Altamira to do something for them. And it'll be a two-parter. 2 separate adventures, but part 1 is here, and then 2 weeks on the 17th, we'll continue this. So it's just an idea to change things up a little bit, and that'll be Thursday, and then Saturday, Beltran's Beacon, the core group, Coco, Curtis, Korg, and Brett playing their characters. So Fritz is back. Fritz, Arabis, Farnelin, and Maram. I have Catherine von Poppen, the NPC. So those are the 5 core characters for this. And then every roughly 4 to 6 hours, I'm bringing in 2 new people. So it starts with, in the morning, Rachel and Mark from Marquee Gaming. So that'll be your Priestess of St. Benedor and your Bounty Hunter Mage. And then around 2:30, Star and Rob, Phantom and Jay will come in. So switching out those two. And then around 6 p.m., Ed and Darling will come in. Ed will play Ravelanter, Darling will play Rosie. And then after that, we'll see. Ed says he'll stay as long as he can physically. So if it's like 10 o'clock the next morning and Ed's still on, I mean, that would be way better than the 3, 4 o'clock in the morning talk. But I have a feeling we're going to run about 18. My guess is 18 hours. That's a guess. We'll finish around 4 o'clock in the morning, Saturday night into Sunday morning. That's just a guess where we'll finish. I could be wrong because I'm prepping it up, but yeah, we're running the adventure in its entirety. I've made some changes, minor. There you go. They've already gotten the message from the Sage. They got that in the previous adventure, and then we'll, 10 a.m. There'll be special giveaways from a lot of the sponsors throughout the day, and we'll just have fun with it. And we'll take some breaks here and there. Yeah, Rob, I'll let you know, man. Because you can pop back in, and if it's a possibility. I appreciate that. I didn't want to commit someone to midnight, not knowing if we were going to get that far. If we're going to be playing that long. Who knows? It may go quicker. I just don't know. So I've never done this before, run an entire adventure, straight through. So and that's what's going on. And then we'll see how messed up I am for Gavin Sunday night. We'll do something. I just don't know what yet, Anna. We talked about that. It's like, we'll figure it out. So that's what's going on. I'm interested to see what the surprise is, Gary. So, and just hang in there and have fun. Have fun tomorrow night watching the game with like almost the majority lady group. They always tend to be pretty funny. And then Sunday it will be the second 24-hour D&D stream I've done. So, all right, let's see who wins the giveaway tonight. All right, last call exclamation point drawing. Closing it out. Boom. Let's see who wins. Winner tonight. BB Fan Fun. Congrats. I know you're on.
Yeah. Congratulations.
So, BB, you tell me, you want the old or the new? The old 1980 or the new 2025? One's 1E, one's 5E, and then if you want Tomb of Lizard King or Ghost Tower. You just tell me. Right? You can tell me in chat. In Whisper or in Discord if we have a Discord connection. So, yeah, that's what I figured. Same address. You just tell me which two. I'll send them out to you. And we're good to go there. So, I hope everyone enjoys their holiday. So, it's starting very shortly. A lot of people will be out and about tomorrow night. But, if you got nothing going on, watch tomorrow night's Academy game. And we'll have some fun with that. I guarantee it. So, Lizard King with Folio, yeah. All right, it's the original Folio and the Tomb of Lizard King. Gotcha. It'll go out tomorrow.
Thanks for coming on, Gary.
Yeah, Gary. Thank you so very much. That was
yeah.
awesome. Glad you
Lots
could.
of fun.
And we'll see you all. Soon. We're gonna raid into Bones. Darling raids into me. I'm gonna raid back into Bones. So I know she's playing something, but just say hi to her, hang if you can, and then we'll go from there. And see you tomorrow night for a really fun one. Am I getting the wrong button? Probably. Thanks, everyone. Creator dashboard. One more day of work. Raid. So, awesome one. That was great. Lots of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, fresh ideas.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you tomorrow night. Oh, by the way, 7 o'clock, not 7:30 tomorrow. See ya. Forgot about that little tidbit there.
I think we said that for definite. Most of this material